Hi, this is Grégoire from Greg's Whiskey Guide. Welcome back in my channel. If you're new to the channel, thank you very much, and please feel free to watch the previous videos and chat and lives and everything. And also please have a look at my channel news video where I explain and list under the video everything, almost everything that's gonna happen by the end of the year or maybe later on. I recently added to it a few more things because I've been blessed to have such a support for a wheat channel with no Patreon, nothing like that, no financial help. So first a big shout out to two people who are going to contribute to my better knowledge of Northern American whiskies, and especially from the United States. This is Luna Arran, thank you Luna, and Guillaume Massé, thank you Guillaume. Luna's from Germany, Guillaume is from Belgium, and these guys provided me samples and even a bottle for Guillaume. Well, there was also some swap of samples involved with Guillaume, but yeah, he offered me a nice bourbon bottle and some very interesting samples. Yeah, Luna's gonna help me have more whiskies as well, and provided me also some American whiskies samples that we cannot find in France. Same for Guillaume, these are things that cannot find here or very expensive, and Guillaume is specialized in American whiskies, so it's very interesting. So yeah, a big shout out to these guys. So that means that you will see a video about bourbons and other rye and other American whiskies in the near future. Okay, so about today's video, another quick thing before I start. Due to popular demand and also because of Rob from Whiskey in the Six in Canada launched the topic, and was a kind of challenge to other YouTubers to choose 10 whiskies before you die. I've decided to do a different response than the other YouTubers, because for me this sentence means something else. So I will divide the theme in different parts. Well, I would respond about current whiskies, but also some exceptional whiskies that I understand for me before the name of, under the name of Before You Die. And yeah, I'm preparing this, so there will be probably the 2 or 3 next videos. But for now, what is it? It is 3 great value whiskies under 100 euros of my collection I wanted to share with you. And also starting with these 3, some quick digressions to advise you maybe other whiskies that are related to those ones. So I poured previously a a drum of each 3. I wanted to do the new ARRAN series. You know, it has been recently rebranded, and I've tasted some interesting ones in Whiskey Life Paris. I also prepare for my website 2 big reports about 2 big shows in Paris, Salon du Gars and Whiskey Life Paris, where you see also tasting notes and pictures. But I couldn't get my hands on the new range, the new rebranding, beautiful looking bottles of ARRAN, so I picked up this Madeira Cask in the Cask Finishes series. As a good example of a beautiful n.a.s. whiskey with a nice finish. Then I picked up MICHTER'S, this is an American whiskey. I'm going to explain why this is not called straight bourbon in a minute. And it is written Ledaig, but it spells Ledaig Distillery, and this is Scottish as well as the first one, and this is from the Isle of Mull, the TOBERMORY distillery. So I'm gonna give you short informations about these ones and then do the tastings. Starting with the first one, the ARRAN, official bottling under the Cask Finishes series. The Cask Finishes series is a series that started before this name as experiment for the distillery, the ARRAN Distillery that goes back to 1995, which is close to Campbelltown area, in the way for many people to go to Islay. And the ARRAN Distillery recently started to build, in fact it's finished, a new distillery that's called Ledaig Distillery in another part of the island, in order to push the peated versions of it, which was previously called Macrimore, for instance, and so they wanted to separate visually. People can distinguish the peated versions. Probably they will stay in tall bottles like that, and the not unpeated versions of the old ARRAN Distillery, of the first ARRAN Distillery, and to change the shape. So I'm gonna probably in the near future talk also about the new versions, because they rebranded ARRAN, but they also brought other versions. Right, so yeah, like I said, so ARRAN is quickly distillery that can fetch 1,200 liters per annum of alcohol. About this range, the cask finishes, so they started when they were too young. They did a lot of finishes, including some crazy ones, champagne, calvados, etc., almost before anyone. But I already talked about finishes, so I switched to current situation, and there's some uncertainty about which expression is going to stay in the core range of the cask finishes. But so far, just quickly, I wanted to tell you there's a sherry version in the cask finishes, there's a port version, there's a marsala version, all finishes, there's a sauterne version, and there's an Amarone. I'm currently assessing the Amarone, thanks to Alan, the whiskey friend, who provided me a sample. It's a bit too soon to tell about it. I like almost all the other versions. I haven't tried the marsala yet. The sherry is nice. The new sherry is even better, I think. It's not the same ABV. It's higher, and all these are 50% ABV, by the way. Non-chill filtered, non-colored, as usual in this distillery. What else can I say? This one is matured first in traditional oak. What they call traditional oak is, I believe, American white oak, probably not first fill, and then matured a few months in Madeira, first fill Madeira Cask. Madeira is a fortified wine, and this often gives rich fruity notes, interesting floral notes as well. It's one of my favorite finishes, I have to say. Okay, this is a no-age statement, but I guess of my researches, I believe this is not an information, this is a guess. I believe by some reviews and some articles I've read, it's around 7 or 8 years old. Okay, so those three whiskies, I've already reviewed them and not necessarily published the review yet. It is true for the American one, it is not true for this one, and it's not made yet for the last one. Okay, so I will start with the first one, which is the Madeira. So as you see, it's it got some yellow gold hues. You know, the legs, the texture is oily. The legs doesn't stand too long despite the high alcohol ABV. This does mean this is not an old whiskey. Okay. Ooh, on the nose now. Got interesting already, you know, candied fruit, all kinds of fruit, You got apricot, you got apples, baked apples, often at Abelard, but also in Arran. A hint of green apple. Let's see if it fits my note. Yeah, forgot the some heady flowers, but not too pronounced. Difficult to say which ones exactly, but it's a bouquet. It's a general bouquet. Can be some lilac in it, can be some lily of the valley, but it's not prominent. It's everything is beautifully melted together, the fruit and the flowers, and what I like is the balance of this version, obviously. Yeah, and then this vanilla, then the sweet spices. When I mean sweet, they're not aggressive, but you can still feel some ginger because of the first maturation in bourbon casks. Yeah, a beautiful nose, I have to say. Cheers, everybody. The oak is strong, and the spice is all of a sudden after it, but the fruit still shine through. For me, it's a beautiful finish because it complements the distillery house style, and it gives some extra dimension with more fruits and more flowers to the oak and the vanilla and the citrus fruit and the herbal style, maybe a bit honeyed as well, that you usually get in unfinished Arran. I mean bourbon matured Arrans. Okay, I'm gonna try with a few drops of water now. I got my branded stopper now, but it's just for fun. So when I get into the shows, people that don't steal me a dropper with no name on it. Okay. And then a very, very slight wine influence. Some of you may know that I don't like too winey whiskies because I think they hide the distillery character. Doesn't mean every wine finish is bad, but often I'm a bit, I don't like this too much. But when it's well done, it's fantastic. So yeah, you get a bit of bitterness, slight bitterness, not too much in this one and in the finish. And you get to understand the Madeira influence, which is very specific and doesn't resemble to sherry, for instance. So it's something slightly sour. There's a bit of acidity, but it's tame, it's control, and that's what I like in this expression. So yeah, I forgot to speak about the. I got it at 56 euros, but it's a bit more everywhere. Not sure you will find it all the time because as shops tend to select probably 3 finishes instead of the 5 or 6 there is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in English. So shops and retailers tend to choose to pick up 3 usually, not the 6. And so some can be discontinued, but I really recommend this one, the Sauternes. Wait for the new sherry, and the port is okay, but not less spectacular than this one, in my opinion. Just my opinion, once again. Okay, that's it for this one. I rated it 92 out of 100, considering how balanced it is and how expressive it is. I'm going to switch off now to the American whiskey from the MICHTER'S Distillery, which was a bit controversial at the beginning because they used the 1753 age of the distillery. They stayed on the label. They exist since the 18th century. The original one, yes. This one is different. They just try to recreate the spirit of it from the distillery that was originally one of the first or very first American bourbon distillery that was in Pennsylvania. Then they moved to Kentucky with this one, and they even built another one which is from the same brand, but to provide more new whiskey. So at the beginning they sourced a lot of their whiskies from other distilleries without stating it, but recognizing it in interviews. The older expressions can fetch absolutely magnificent quality. I'm gonna speak again about it. But this one is from the core range, which is called U.S.A, and it's the Unblended American Whiskey, which means unblended means there's no neutral spirit added to it. But sometimes when you see American whiskey, as it's not 51, sorry, 51% of bourbon or rye or wheat or something else, it's not straight bourbon. And once you drop the straight, you can choose whiskies that are not aged 2 years old or 1 year old, and you can do almost everything you want. Not as in Canada, but yeah, I'm going quickly in this one. If you want to know more about American whiskey, I highly recommend you YouTube channels that are specialized in it, almost specialized or very knowledgeable in it, such as the Mash and Drum, Eric Waite, Liquor Hound. So yeah, there's lots of guys, and all the American channels, almost I can say. So yeah, this one has no age statement. It is often said it is a 4-year-old, but about this version, all these are from 2017, by the way. But this one, I've been told it's an 8.5 years old, the American Unblended American Whiskey. So American whiskey and not bourbon, because there's not 51% of any one of the usual components of bourbons, for instance. So that means there are bourbon, there's wheat, there's corn, there's wheat, there's malted barley, maybe some rye. I'm sure there's rye, but not at the level where you can say one is dominating the others. And it's very interesting for me because it changes a bit the bourbon profile. I love bourbons, don't get me wrong, but it brings something different. About the price point, I had it in a bargain in a supermarket online at 41 euro, but it's more likely at around 67 euros in France, probably less expensive in the US. So yeah, it has been relaunched in the 1990s by the Magliocco family, and they're basically they get distillate more than old stocks now, and they maturing it in their own warehouses. Whether you use some particular process, they do not chill filter, but they sweet filter with some special barrier systems. And an interesting point to underline is they also put the distillate into the casks at 51.7 ABV and not as high as the Scottish or other American distilleries. And they hit the warehouses, so the ABV can go higher than that in age, which is one of the particularities of the climate in the US. It's the contrast, and also that things can go, the ABV can increase instead of decrease in Scottish whiskies. There you go. Let me just take a bit of water. And yeah, because time goes fast, and oof. Oh, I love that nose. Instantly, you get the rye, you get the bourbon. Not sure I get the other components. Of course, the corn and rye, but not sure I get the other. If it's malted barley, wheat, or even oat. Yeah, so the nose is luxuriant. You have all sorts of marmalades, red fruit jellies. You have the noble oak, some precious wood. You have some what I call, even in the nose, which is a bit weird, I understand that, you get something that's carnated. It has flesh, it has some substance. When you eat the fruits, peach, apricots, and the prunes, you eat that with the flesh. So there's something in there which is very sensual. And then goes a bit of cinnamon, a bit of clove, a bit of nutmeg. But first off, there's the heady flowers and really perfumed fruit that are ahead of anything else. Okay, on the palate now. Cheers. Wow. Oh, that's beautiful. I got some now. Also, I got everything I said on the fruit and the flowers, but I got something even a bit buttery. That's melted with the honey, honey from the mountains. Something very dark, very deep. Let me just check if I got the same. Yeah, caramel, of course. Oh yeah, that's a bit confusing because all this is mixed with some maple syrup, maple resin. Yeah, so everything gets mixed in a beautiful melted profile, aromatic profile. And so you can distinguish a bit the flavors, but what I like is the way they're coming across almost all together, and the balance of it. Once again, the three expressions I've picked. It was difficult to pick those three. There were other candidates, and we probably do another videos like that. Actually, there will be one more world-oriented. Okay, I put an American here, but there will be three other whiskies picked, where you will have also other countries you might not expect to figure there. 3 great values under €100 of my collection. But meanwhile, this one is probably the best value of the three in terms of price. If you can find it online, around €50. Rated at 93 out of 100. It worth every euro, every pound, every dollar, whatever. Sorry. Yeah. Quick try with water. So this is more revisiting than really assessing, because I'm taking too much time, more than this usually. I just wanted to share these with you. Oh my god. Yeah, the maple now is, with a few drops of water, is climbing in influence. And yeah, the rye spice as well. I'm getting more and more in love with rye. Recently tried 3 samples of Whistle Pig, and what they do is insane. Yeah. Let me just check once again if I can pick up something else. Yeah, there's some burnt caramel. There's also something a bit solventy. But this is once again the rye influence for me. But it's sweet. It's a sweet whiskey. Not overpowering, not sugared, not... It's sweet and sexy. I cannot say something else than that. So yeah, congrats MICHTER'S for this beautiful... And yeah, I was speaking about alternatives. I gave you some for ARRAN. For this one, if you can get your hands on it, I highly recommend you the sour mash version, which is a bit of the same choice of not calling it bourbon to let the master distiller, who I recently met at the Whiskey Live, by the way, hi Dan. So it lets him work more the different balance of the ingredients to propose something a bit aside of the road from the traditional straight bourbons, and I found this interesting. Okay, that's it for this one. Now we're gonna switch to let me tell you, a pit monster. And this is this masterpiece. I have no other word for that. Sorry if it seems biased, I don't care anyway. And I purchased it, it's not a gift. A retailer, a friend of mine, a caviste in French, made me try it, and I fall in love instantly with it. I said, what the is this? And he said, oh, it's a Ledaig, 13 years old, cask strength, single cask. And I saw it was from Elixir Distillers, which is the new name, recent name of the specialty drinks. I know it's a difficult one now, so please pay attention. So the single malts of Scotland is a range from Elixir Distillers. That's the brand name and the commercial name of the Specialty Drinks Limited, which is the name of the company, independent bottling company, belonging to the Whiskey Exchange, which is an online and on-site, on location in UK, very important whiskey shop, whiskey and spirits shop. For the French audience, it's the equivalent of La Maison du Whisky. And they organize the whiskey show in London. And these guys, Oliver Chilton, which I hope I will be interviewing soon for a tip for my channel, is the guy who selects it, of course, probably with the hand of Sukhinder Singh and Raj, his brother, who directs the Whiskey Exchange. But I love what they do. Basically, this range is about subtlety, it's about expressivity and respect for the distillery, and that's what I like the most in the range, I have to say. I've tasted not many Ledaigs, maybe a dozen in my 20 years of tastings life, if I may say, and honestly for me it's the best I've ever tasted. It's almost more impressive than the 1974, which was maybe 30 years old, I'm not sure. So it's insane. And yeah, I wanted to, time is running out quick, okay. But just a word for me, this is typical from the importance for me of the indie bottlers today, that are able to pick, select and sometimes blend when they do small batches, or they do blended malts. The best, honestly the best cask, and even, sorry guys to say that, even better, they have better proposals to me for their entry level to, let's say, well, even more, everything. For me, the proposals of not only this indie bottler, but others, Cadenhead, sometimes Gordon MacPhail and others, there are often better proposals and better values to propose to people to discover, especially I would say Ledaig, Tobermory and Bunnahabhain. I'm sorry, I know many won't agree with this statement, but it's my opinion. I think they do a better job to enhance the qualities of the distillate than the official ones, and often for a better price. And for Bunnahabhain, let me tell you, I got 4 magnificent expressions that prove that 100%. But yeah, it's subjective. Okay, so let's try this one and see what's all the fuss about. And all the fuss about starts by the color. And for a majority of people, this is not a color of a good whiskey, because Majority of people are used to amber color, artificial color. And what's the common point with those three whiskeys at different levels? But either they are not chill filtered or very sweet. They are not colored, and basically there's no additives or any weird treatment on them. So you got the pure distillate that can shine. This is a single cask. These are not single casks. They're small batches. And yeah, for me, if the cask selection is well made, it can be fantastic. And this one, believe me or not, is fantastic. For those who want the details, I'm gonna put the details on the comment of the video. But it was distilled in 2004. February, and bottled in May of 2017, sorry, and it's the cask 10,029, and it's a bottle at the ABV of 56.6. Okay, TOBERMORY Distillery bears two names. It's Ledaig for the peated versions and TOBERMORY for the unpeated. That's why often you will find information about the distillery more on the TOBERMORY name rather than the Ledaig name. Okay, so production is around 1,000 liters per annum, and they go to blends, they go to more standard versions, but they also sell to independent bottlers. The nose already is everything I like in Islay whiskies. This is not an Islay whiskies, by the way. It's just up on the map. This is an Isle of Mull whiskey, but it is peated and it is slightly different, but for me as beautiful as the best Islay whiskies, peated whiskies. So you get a creosote, you get the smoke, subtle smoke, a bit more ashy than some of the island. I got also some beautiful, very discreet star anise, which is a note I love in the Islay whiskies. You got maybe some honeysuckle, sweet flowers, very discreet. You got some citrus fruit, some grapefruit, and some lemon. But everything, once again, is superbly balanced. And that's, again, this is the common point of those three. Probably why I picked them unconsciously. I could stay for hours with this one, honestly. I see the time is running out, but... And also there's some seducing point with some unsugared or diet, if I may say, almond paste note on top of it. And this is very sexy, honestly. Okay, now I gotta go to the palate. Oh my God. Oof. This is insane for me. This is... I'm gonna shock people here. Not everyone, I'm sorry, but those in the know of the old school whiskies and the old time things I like. Though I love current whiskies, it's not a question, but this reminds me, you understand why I say that, this reminds me of some independent bottlings of 20 to 25, not more, not less, Port Ellen whiskies, single malt. It has the charm, the sexiness, the balance, a complex profile that you get in those dreamy whiskies era. Port Ellen is my favorite distillery, so I don't say that lightly. I say that middle-aged Port Ellens, and maybe that's why it ticks all the boxes for me. I don't know that, and that also that's why I rated 96.5 out of 100. Yes, 96.5 out of 100. It's an exceptional one for me. I just have one bottle. I should have bought a case of 6, like I said, for the best whiskies I love, but it's too expensive. Price point wise, yeah, I got it around 80 plus euros. Not sure it's still on the market, probably in the second. I tried this year's Sherried Expression, same age, almost same ABV, but they watered it down for France to 48%. I tried it at the same shop that I bought this one. It was good. It's a beautiful sherried whiskey. It's nice, but if I had to rate it, it would be around 90 or 89 out of 100. This one beats it very easily. Yeah, just an opinion. I'm gonna finish by adding a few drops of water to it, and then wrap it up to say thank you for your patience, thank you for attention and support. I really appreciate it. There's a lot of more things coming on, believe me, on the channel and on the website too. Yeah, I just have to say it's the same as on the nose. It's as sexy, as complex, as balanced. So there's flowers, there's citrus fruit, there's aniseed, there's some even some sea spray, gentle spices, some white pepper maybe. There's even some barley sugar and some ashy peat smoke. There's almost some slightly coffee notes, very, very light. But this barley sugar note, almost almondies, it's very appealing. Wow. Okay, I think you got it that I love this version and I love the other whiskies as well. Again, thanks for watching. Hope you liked the video. Don't forget to thumbs up, maybe talk about it in social media, and yeah, see you very soon now for more tight and more quick reviews, and most than reviews, some bottle selections I chose for you to answer to the popular demand of the 10 whiskies before. You'll see before what. Cheers everyone, thank you so much.